Thank you to Charles Stolfus for helping moderate, and Denton Bible for all they have done for this school, and Mel Summerall and Tom Nelson for allowing God to use them to build this building and for teaching us to stand for God and His Word.
Christian, the barbarians are at your gate. It is an ancient conflict beginning in the Garden of Eden. I will put enmity, O devil, between your children and the seed of the woman. So vote. Vote your conscience. Vote your brain. There is one person that I think of and I am pressured by when I vote. It's a little fellow I can't see. Don't even know his name. A little fellow who just wants a chance to breathe on his own, who doesn't ask for much. He just asks for tomorrow. And who would appreciate the adults around him not to invade his sanctuary and to obliterate his right to life. It was not his doing that put him here. It was the adults. I think of him and of standing between him and those who seek his life.
So that is it. That is the show for
Here in a few weeks, you're going to vote. We've got you a voter's guide back there to tell you who these people are. And let me just say this. The municipal election that is usually carried by hundreds of votes. Our city council, a lot of them are like serpents coiled around your child. You don't need to be afraid of Joe Biden yet, but you need to be afraid of our city council. Trust me. Trust me. You need to be afraid because they have got the most access to your children, and they will appoint the police chiefs and everybody else. Now, when you go down there, and if you don't vote, I'm going to find you. Oh, yeah. And I'm going to hit you right in the thorax, okay? You get yourself down there and you vote intelligently. And I use this term etymologically precise. They need to get the hell out of Denton. And they need to go, thank you. Because we got to get the hell out of here, the children of the serpent. They need to go back to their own damned comrades. And that's what they are. But they don't need our children. So you get down and vote.
Tom and Charles are exactly right. If this can happen in the state of Kentucky, it can definitely happen here in Denton. This is a Christian that was jailed for over a week, county clerk that refused to marry two homosexual men. She was arrested and thrown in jail for a week in Kentucky. And she's a hero for our faith. She caused a lot of people to stand up, and we need a lot more people like her.
A few years back, God really got my attention. I became aware of a Christian that was arrested and thrown in jail for refusing to marry two homosexual men. She was a Kentucky county clerk that, as a Christian, refused to sign her name to a homosexual marriage license. Governor Mike Huckabee, Senator Ted Cruz, Matt Staver with Liberty Counsel, and Senator Marco Rubio came to her rescue by rallying Christians from around the country. Our family decided to attend the rally and drove to the jail in Kentucky. The small town where she was jailed has a population of only 3,500 people. When we got close, the traffic on the small town two-lane roads came to a gridlock as a Christian army of around 4,000 people descended on the jail and the judge's house that threw her in jail. We listened to Governor Mike Huckabee say he would be willing to go to jail in her place, because what this judge did by throwing her in jail for not marrying two homosexual men was wrong. So here we are at the jail with 4,000 other believers that had driven across the country to support our sister in the Lord. My son Jonathan was great. He said to me, "Dad, if they don't let her out of jail, we're charging, right?" So the 4,000 strong Christian army must have gotten the judge's attention. She's still in jail. But because after she spent an entire week in jail, he let her out while we were at the rally, which was unexpected. She came out, held up her hands, praised God. Governor Huckabee cried, I cried. It was one of the most powerful moments I've ever experienced. You can Google when she was released from jail. She came out in front of the jail. They had a stage set up for the rally to the song of Eye of the Tiger. It was really cool. The 4,000 Christians there went crazy. It was like a mini Trump rally. But think about that for a second. What would you have done? What would you have done?
And so that's what a voter's guide is. You used to didn't have to have them so much. Now you do. And so you're going to go vote your conscience? No. Vote your brain. All right. Vote your brain. Because what kind of government are we going to get? You're going to get the one you deserve. How many Christians did not vote in 2016? 25 million did not vote. How many registered voters in Denton County of a particular political persuasion did not vote? 90,000. And let me tell you something else. You know how, normally you vote platform at a national election, but the other stuff, candidates that are running in municipal stuff, you farkle, Let me tell you something about Denton County. There's a bunch of stuff at stake in your kids that are about to have some serious stuff forced on them by about 7 to 9 people. And you better be real intelligent when you sit down, because that sonogram, that's your grandson that you're looking at. That's your granddaughter. That's America as a baby. And there's not going to be just a little bit of hell if we make the wrong call. That's the peril of being an American.
The Christian Voters Coalition, Christian Voters Guide came about as a result of Tom Nelson asking us to get involved and Charles Stolfus' help in producing the Voters Guide. And it escalated to becoming the #1 site in Denton. If you Google Denton Christian Voters Guide, it pulls up #1.
Of an elected Democrat named Kim Davis. Now, I only bring that into it because I don't want people to think that this is an issue about Democrats and Republicans, because it was a Republican judge who put her in this jail to begin with. I don't care what party a person is as much as I care whether or not they believe that this country was founded on basic fundamental principles that all of us must live under. And for those who want the courts to make law so the politicians can be excused and cowardly hide behind the court and not take a stand, I say that is exactly what our country was not supposed to be. So today, we thought, so that we could rally and maybe get the attention of not only a judge, but of the world, to say America is not dead, And those of us who love this country are not walking away, running away, or hiding. We come to take the stand today. We will stand with Kim, we will stand with the Constitution, and we will stand with our faith, and will not be bullied, no matter even if they incarcerate us. I have a message for the judge.
Step down.
And I say this with all my heart. If this judge believes that somebody must be put in jail because a person is willing to stand on the biblical definition of marriage and is willing to stand because they believe that the Constitution does not allow the courts to make up law according to their own whims, if the judge believes that, then I would ask this of him. Let Kim go. But if you have to put someone in jail, I volunteer to go. Let me go. Lock me up if you think that's how freedom is best served. Because, folks, I am willing to spend the next 8 years in the White House leading this country, but I want you to know I'm willing to spend the next 8 years in jail, but I'm not willing to spend one day under the tyranny of people who believe they can take our freedom and conscience away. We have all come today for the purpose of seeing Kim Davis free. Earlier today, a judge has at least decided that she no longer is going to have to stay in this incarceration center behind us. Again, I say thanks to R.W. Boggs, the jailer, who has treated her with kindness and decency and respect, as has all the staff and all the people of this county. And I pay tribute to them. But I thought before we left today, maybe you would like to personally express your thanks to the person who had the courage to cause a lot of people to start standing up. A person whose courage exceeds that of 99 9/10% of the politicians of this country, and sadly, that exceeds a bunch of even the pastors of this country. But I believe that her act is going to wake up the politicians, the pastors, and the people. Would you please help me welcome to the stage Kim Davis.
I just want to give God the glory. His people have rallied, and you are strong people. We serve a living God who knows exactly where each and every one of us is at. Just keep on pressing. Don't let down, because He is here. He's worthy. He's worthy. I love you guys. Thank you so much.
And let's hear it for her husband, Joe, who has been a faithful, strong supporter at her side. Ladies and gentlemen, your prayers have been answered. Kim will tonight go home. She will be with her family. She will sleep in her own bed. But all of us need to ask, who's next? Your pastor? The head of a school? Who's next? My question as we leave here today, will you be ready to take the stand, even at expense to yourself, to stand firm for your convictions, for the Constitution, and for your faith, and will not waver nor fall? God bless you. Thank you for being here today. And may the Lord be with you and give you His strength. God bless you.
That's how you do it, Denton.
Sodomy. Obviously, I'm against sodomy, but in our country, you can be homosexual. But you can't make me be one. You can't say to me, the SOGI laws, that if I don't hire a guy based on his sexual orientation, that will be regarded as a civil right, and you can take me to court. That I don't like. And I don't like the fact that you can teach this in my school to my child, that Sally has two daddies, and that is a good thing. And so you can't force that in my hiring practice in my business, and you can't force that on my child. You can't punish that at the university level if somebody disagrees with transgenderism.
But think about that for a second. What would you have done? What would you have done if you were her? Would you have quit your job? The judge gave her choices. You can quit your job. You can marry these two homosexual men and actually sign your name. You know, Bob and Steve are now married, and write your name on the bottom of it. She said, I can't do that. Well, then you need to quit. Well, this is my job. I want to quit my job. Well, then I'm going to throw you in jail. So what would you have done? Would you quit your job? Would you have married two homosexual men in violation of God's word? Or would you have gone to jail for your Christian faith? Well, it's happening again. And this time it's in our city. So I'm preparing what I'm going to say today. I have my quiet time. I read the news, which I would recommend all Christians do. Read your Bible. Great. Pray. Great. Look at the news. What is going on in our town? What is going on in our country? Who do we need to elect that's going to stand up for God? Okay? So I read the headlines today. In Denton, it says, this is today, this morning, as I'm getting ready for today. I didn't even have this prepared until today. Residents call for City Council of Denton to approve an ordinance, a law to protect LGBTQ people. A grassroots group in Denton has been petitioning City Council members to enact a non-discrimination ordinance that would protect LGBTQ people. That means if Charles or Tom refuse to marry a homosexual couple because God calls it a sin, then they may be discriminating, which is what this ordinance is for, against LGBTQJAPK. Yes, they are adding to it again. I don't know what this stands for, but the last four. In California, our country. If you're a pastor like Charles or Tom, you can Google it. 3 pastors in California that have already been arrested, handcuffed, and placed in jail for preaching that homosexuality is against God's word. The radical left is calling it a hate crime. You did a hate crime here, you go to jail. Hate crime. It's already arresting pastors.
Tell you what, if I've got to apologize to God for voting for this guy, I ain't going to vote for him. Now, when you go back there, you get you a voter's guide and you see who's who, and you award the faithful.
The Denton Record-Chronicle publishes this article on September 14th, 2020, and immediately all vote your faith guides are pulled from Denton Bible as the elders did not allow them anymore. On September 18th, 2020, Denton Bible Church elders send out the following letter. On behalf of Denton Bible Church leadership, we want to respond to questions and concerns that have been raised about a document, Pray and Vote Your Faith, distributed on our campus this past Sunday, September 13th, under the heading, The Following Are Showing the Strongest Biblical Values. We would like to be clear that neither the elder board nor church leadership approved the distribution of this document and would not have done so if requested. Shortly before the services, a staff member was asked by a member if the information could be included with other resources made available at the voter registration tables in the lobby, and permission was granted. We are sorry and apologize to our members and friends and candidates running for public office for allowing this to go out.
How wrong was David just to think because he was installed as king that he could take his neighbor's wife and send his neighbor to his death and it'd be okay? God, you are holy. And so when we go in that booth, God is watching and an evil spirit is watching. And I pray that we would be faithful to you. And this church would take its stand on Gerasim. If you want blessing, you better reform to the law of God. And might we in this church, when we're all dead and I'm gone and the young guys are here, might no group of elders, leaders, staff, or people try to make God accommodating to sin. Might they never change the Bible because progressive people don't like it. And we'll ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Verifiably false accusations and claims about Tommy, about the elders, and even some on our staff. The lies, the false accusations, the misleading information, you know the way it goes. There's 2 sides to every story. Proverbs 18:17 says, the first to plead his case seems right until another comes and examines him. There is a line that says, where is Tom Nelson?
If you're first time here, I'm sorry that you had to sit through this. The particular grievance was, where's Tommy? That I wouldn't speak out about the January 6th arrests on people who were in jail and protested. And it's kind of funny that if you're going to serve God well, you may have to clear your conscience. Are you with me? You may have some things in your past that you can't speak boldly about until you get them cleared. The righteous are as bold as lions, but the wicked flee when no one is pursuing. When your conscience isn't strong, you don't have confidence. After I got saved, I remember having to go to my old quarterback coach. He would curse me till a fly would not light on me. And I would curse him back. And I got saved. And I began sharing my testimony. And I began wondering, what would I do if that guy walked in the back of the church, which was not going to happen. But what would happen if he walked in the back of the church? Could I talk to him? And so I kind of sent up a prayer. Because his last job when he was retired is he ran the North Texas State basketball arena. And I said, God, if I ever run into him, I'll, do what I have to. I went to a game, took my son Ben, and we walked in, and I looked up, and there he was. And I thought, oh, darn. Me and my prayers. I said, Ben, go in and sit down. I've got a great big load of crow I'm about to eat right here. And I said, Coach, those were dark days in my life. And I was a typical rebellious 19-year-old. I need to ask your forgiveness. He said, well, Tommy, I ought to be asking you the same thing. Ain't that something? And I said, well. But you know what? We got straight. We got straight. And so it's interesting, even though he's in the ministry, he's saying, you don't want to be able not to look any man in the eyes. And if I send you back, you're not going to be able to go to the Colossian church because you've got some stuff you got to get straight. Interesting. And good example. You remember when Paul got converted on the Damascus Road, and God told a guy named Ananias, there's a guy at a house of Judas on a street called Straight, and he's praying, and he's Saul. And Ananias said, excuse me, did I have a word? Wasn't this the guy coming up here to beat us? And God said, yes, he's a chosen vessel, and he's going to be the greatest missionary to ever live. And Ananias went to Paul and said, Brother Saul, God has appeared to you and appointed to you to know his will. Took him 1 second. You're my brother if you're God's child. And so, because of adoption, that we love them, no matter who that person is.
Trespassing by attempting to come into this correctional facility.
People that vote on whether or not to fund you, at what level, and we're trespassing.
I understand that.
My
I'll see if my
gosh, the
supervisor's
government is
available.
upside down.
You right now are obstructing entrance into this facility. This is the way people enter. You're obstructing.
All right.
We won't obstruct the entrance.
Nope,
but
we'll
we are
help
going to
anybody.
No, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, we'll clear the entrance, we'll
Yeah.
clear the path.
What if I put the mask on?
Yeah, sure. Put your mask on.
I'm an attorney here to see a client.
Yeah, the door's locked, and, again, we're just here to ask questions, and now they've locked the door and have not given us access, so this was apparently a bait and switch. We are here just to speak to a supervisor, and when the supervisor came out, and we came out to have that discussion, they literally ran behind us and locked the doors.
Oh, now
so
they got
that we wouldn't have the opportunity to present our identification and seek a review.
This is a rare time under this administration where prison is used to lock people out. Instead of locking people in, they don't want to.
Those three are your congressmen, Christian warriors.
Every day in America, people are locked in prison. It's not every day that people are locked out of a prison, which is what happened to multiple members of Congress today. We have two principal responsibilities: to appropriate funds and to conduct oversight. How does the Biden administration expect us to participate in the representative republic when they deprive us of access to information that would inform our oversight work and our appropriations decisions? The questions we've asked have gone unanswered for months, and they fall into two principal categories. First, are there defendants, as a consequence of their conduct on January 6th, being deprived of access to potentially exculpatory evidence.
Yes, there are.
We have seen that the FBI has a history of animating criminal conduct. That is precisely what happened in Michigan, and it may be what happened on January 6th as well. To answer that question, we need access to the 14,000 hours of videos that Congressman Gosar has continuously called for. To answer that question, to get that evidence, we sought a meeting with the Attorney General. We went to the Department of Justice, and we weren't even allowed in the lobby to have a meeting with an Attorney General who still to this day has not shown up for an oversight hearing before the Oversight Committee or the House Judiciary Committee. What is Merrick Garland hiding? The second category of concerns deals with the specific treatment of detainees. To get answers, we did what members of Congress normally do. We showed up at the facility and sought a tour. This happens for Republicans under Democrat administrations. It happened for Democrats under Republican administrations. And now there is an unprecedented effort to deny members of Congress information that relates to criminal cases and that relates to the treatment of people that are held.
The January 6th defendants are being treated differently on a whole nother level. They have been beaten by the guards. They are called white supremacists. They are denied religious services, haircuts, shaving, the ability to trim their fingernails. There's more outrageous things happening there. They're denied time with their attorneys. They are denied the ability to even see their families and have their families visit there. They're denied bail and being held there without bail. Many of these people have never been charged for a crime before. Some of them are veterans, and the treatment is unbelievable.
So virtually no members of Congress have gone to check up on the protesters the many protesters are still rotting in the DC jail and have been for more than 10 months. Marjorie Taylor Greene just went and was shocked by what she saw. She visited some of the defendants. Some of them told her they are not allowed to practice their religion until they get vaccinated, for example. Listen.
Are you allowed to have religious services?
We do our own. I submitted for communion last week, and they said the only way to get communion is to get vaccinated, which is against our First Amendment rights. So they're prohibiting us from practicing our religion just so we can get the vaccine.
Other inmates said they're not allowed to see their families. They were pushed to disavow Donald Trump. Some said they couldn't go outside more than twice a week. It goes on. Here's one.
Are you able to talk to your family members or see your family members?
No. I haven't seen my family's faces in all year. I haven't seen my family's faces since April.
Do you feel like you're being treated fairly?
Nope. No. I'm still locked in.
Is there, how many hours?
We only get 5 hours a day out.
Do you go outside? Do you go outside twice a week?
Considering all the violence, the actual violence that our media excused for over a year, it's pretty amazing that nobody cares what's happened to these people. And of course, a lot of members of Congress are applauding this. Liz Cheney, for example. She was just asked the obvious question. If you really want to get to the bottom of what happened on January 6th, did the federal government have any role? There were a lot of people there. Were any of them working for the feds? Well, you're not allowed to ask that. Here's Liz Cheney.
You know, it's the same kind of thing that you hear from people who say that 9/11 was an inside job, for example. It is, it's un-American to be spreading those kinds of lies, and they are lies. And we have an obligation that goes beyond partisanship, and an obligation that we share, Democrats and Republicans together, to make sure that we understand every single piece of the facts about what happened that day, and to make sure the people who did it are held accountable. To call it a false flag operation to spread those kinds of lies is really dangerous.
So the weapons of mass destruction lady is accusing other people of lying. Got it. And we need to get to the bottom of it, but how dare you ask questions about it, because that's un-American. Well, we're going to continue to ask questions about it because she's not in charge. Marjorie Taylor Greene is also a member of Congress. She's from Georgia. She took the time to find out what's going on. She joins us tonight. Congresswoman, thanks so much for coming on. I know you saw a lot there. You gathered a lot of information, but sum up your sense of how these Americans are being treated in custody.
Well, apparently it's patriot hunting season ever since January 20th, Tucker. You see, I can't believe what's happening in our country. We saw a whole year of riots where Antifa and BLM rioters were burning down cities, businesses, attacking people on the streets, and even killing brave retired police officers like David Dorn. But yet people went to the Capitol using their First Amendment, and then some of them did get involved in a riot. But what I saw Thursday night when I went to the DC jail after months of persistence trying to get in just to see what was happening in there because of the terrible rumors that were coming out of that jail, everything that I've heard I found out was true. You see, these people are being held. They were held for 4 months, 23 hours a day in solitary confinement in their cell, 1 hour out. Then it followed by 2 months, 22 hours in their cell, 2 hours out. And now they're able to be out 5 hours at a time if they're on good behavior. But you see, if they're not vaccinated, they can't get a haircut, they can't shave. They're given Nair to chemically remove their hair instead of be able to get a haircut. If they're not vaccinated, they're not allowed to go to chapel. If they're not vaccinated, they're not allowed to have communion. You see, even in jail, in prison, unvaccinated people are treated like second-class citizens. But it's worse than just that. They haven't seen their family members since they've been arrested. They aren't able to talk to their attorneys when they want to. The food that they're given is not good food. Many of them are sick. There's several men in there that really need medical treatment. They're being denied. There's an elderly man in the jail whose hand is purple and his thumb is black, and they begged me to get him out of there. They're really suffering. They're being treated badly. And Tucker, here's the worst part. These are pre-trial defendants, and they're not allowed to bail out. And they're told they have to denounce President Trump and what they believe if they want to make bail. And so it's outrageous that Americans can be treated this way, and every single American should be upset over this because, you know, I ran for Congress because I don't trust our government, and now that I'm a member of Congress and after I've seen everything I've seen, I don't even trust our government. It's worse than it was before.
Yep. I mean, none of this is proportionate to what they've been accused of doing. And people like Liz Cheney defend it. She'd drone them if she could.
Oh, she would. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Liz Cheney would like to take them down. She sees them as some kind of lower class.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia.
That can guide you as you listen tonight and as you vote. First one is Joshua 1:8. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have success. Second one is Deuteronomy 32:47 that I already had printed to say, and Charles prayed it at church Sunday, but I thought was really cool. And that is, for this is not just an idle word. The Bible is not just an idle word. Indeed, it is your life. Think about that. It's your life.
Write down the word grace. Having confidence in your obedience, I write to you, I know that you'll do even more than what I say. Law does all that it must. Grace does all that it can. And so I will reach as far as I have to. I'll do even more than what I'm supposed to. I want to see if you have lived out the life that you said you would. That sound familiar? You and I will be called to account as good stewards. Have we loved?
Folks, there's going to be some time in your life where there's nobody to turn to except God. So get to know Him well, do what He tells you to do, and may the Lord bless and keep you.